Welcome to another episode of the Focus Bee Show. Today I'm here with Lewis Bailey, and Lewis is a personal trainer and one of UK's leading fitness experts. Lewis has provided over 20,000 sessions with UK celebrities, models, athletes, and executives. Thank you so much for being with me today, Lewis.
Oh, thank you, Katie. Thanks for having me on. And just listening to that there makes me sound really old. I'm thinking, has it been that long? And yeah, it really has. It's been 20 years in the industry now, and it's been a really long journey, but been an incredible one. It's been an incredible one, and then absolutely loved it from the personal training perspective all the way through to coaching now. And it's just been an incredible one. So thanks for having me on.
Yes, well, it's a real pleasure. Let's dive straight into the topic. As you know, the show is all about high performance and also mindfulness. I'm wondering, what is your take on the impact of fitness on our performance in business, for example?
Well, the short is, it's absolutely huge. And as far as I'm concerned, it's vital. It's vital. And I think where I start off from is a point of saying to clients, a lot of clients come in and they're saying, they want to accomplish this with their career, they want to do this within their life, they want a good relationship, they want the fit body, and they want it all. Okay, all these things. And what a lot of the times, what I tend to see is a lot of people don't really kind of grasp the importance of exercise and how big it is, and that's my first place to start with everybody, is to pay attention and say, listen, this is a big deal. The exercise side of things is a real big deal, and this is the reason why. And so I kind of then I bring that to their attention and tell them what it basically does directly. And because I think a lot of people hear that exercise is good for your health. And for me, I just don't think that does it enough as far as I'm concerned, because it does so much within your life. And so I think people just kind of roll their eyes going, yeah, I know, I should do exercise just to be healthy. But it's so bigger than that. So for me, it's a case of saying, right, let me tell you what this is going to do. Okay, yeah, if you exercise, these are the things that are going to happen to you and your body. And then so I then start going into the depths of that and just saying, just by doing exercise alone, you are going to help improve, your cardiac and respiratory function. So your heart and lungs are going to get a lot better. Coming along with that is also, you are going to reduce the risk of a lot of illnesses and diseases. You are going to increase the likelihood of living a longer life. You are going to increase, obviously, the likelihood of living a longer and healthier life. So you're going to live a better life for a longer period of time by exercising. Your bones are going to get stronger. Your connective tissue is going to get stronger. Your muscles are going to get stronger. The whole of your body is going to become stronger. You are going to be fitter and more able to do a lot more things if you keep on doing this. And, from going into the deep kind of side of the physiology, to say, well, also on the side of the likes of your metabolism, then things like, your mitochondria, you've got mitochondrial biogenesis starts to happen as well. And so, all of these things take place because these like the energy units of the body, and it's all just great stuff. And so it's like, you need to know this, because this is really going to serve you really powerful if you just do it.
You said this word, mitochondria. I can't even pronounce it.
Yes.
Mitochondria biogenesis.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a fancy term of basically saying that the mitochondria inside the body is like the energy units within the body, and you, by doing exercises, that you will help develop more of that. You will help with their function a lot more. And so that basically says to you that you are going to become more energized, and you're going to become more efficient. With your bodily functions will become a lot more efficient. The signaling of your body will work far better. Your neurotransmitters of your brain will work better. There'll be more oxygen going to your brain, so your brain's going to get better. I mean, it's just, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. When you look at exercise for what it is, it's like, this is the big deal, and if you do this, then it's going to serve you incredibly powerfully. And so, you know, for me, this is the big thing is once they've kind of got that understanding, then I then say, okay, well, you understand now all the things it's going to do. And if you was just to look at exercise alone, because some people, you know, they don't like doing it. And some people are too far focused on the external side of life of, you know, accomplishing the goals of the career and earning more money, or, you know, the next job promotion, or, you know, all the things that are going on in their life. You know, it's all too heavily focused on the outside and not enough on the inside. And so I say to them, well, look, because life is incredibly busy, you know, we've got all of these things going on and we've got all these things that we want to accomplish. The thing to always focus on is what are going to be the most powerful things that I can do in the shortest amount of time that are going to give me the biggest bang for my buck to help me perform in life. And this is where exercise for me comes into play, because if you were to look at all of the studies that have been done, exercise is the biggest lever that you can pull to give you all of the positive benefits within your life. And it's just undeniable. There's nothing that can match it. People talk about, you know, the side of changing your body, of it's 20% in the gym and 80% in the kitchen, or whatever it may be. But a lot of people focus heavily on the diet, which of course is important. But if you look across the board of all of the different variables, the positive variables that exercise will give back to you, both from a mind point of view and a body perspective, then there's nothing that can match it. There's nothing, no drugs, no nutrition, nothing can beat exercise from that perspective. And so I say to people, my clients say, look, this is the one big thing. If you invest in it, this is going to help you perform incredibly well throughout the rest of your career and the rest of your life, you know. So yeah, you know, I can't emphasize it enough. And you know, that at the end of the day, it's not just my opinion. I mean, that it's just the facts. I mean, they're all the facts are there, but there's also access and need, if we wish to do so, of how powerful this is and what it can do for us.
Yes, I can tell you're really passionate about this, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I wish there were 20 million people just like you promoting the benefits of exercise. I think, like you said, some people are sometimes reluctant and they just think, yes, I know I should do it, but they don't actually really realize the impact it has both on the body and on the mind and on their performance, and also then on their sleep and recuperation, because if you exercise, you sleep better, and your mood and your immune system. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
There you go. Exactly. This is the whole point, isn't it? It just kind of keeps going on. And so if you look at it just from a performance perspective, is if you think about all of those things, I mean, you just mentioned there in terms of your mood and better sleep, all of these things are key elements to you to be able to perform better in life. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing within your life, it's performing better. It doesn't matter if you are a stay-at-home mother with kids. Look, you know what? That's a hard job. You know, it's a really tough job. And so therefore you need to be able to perform really well to be able to do that. Is looking after kids is hard work. And I'd probably say, you know, arguably one of the most important things that you're going to have to do in life is bringing kids up. So you have to perform really well every single day, regardless of what it is that you are doing within your life, you know, regardless of, you know, your career, your ambitions, is that we need to be able to perform really well, because you know, it just makes sure we become the best version of ourselves by doing this, and we can accomplish then whatever we want to accomplish if we are in a great state, you know, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And again, exercise is going to be the biggest lever that you can absolutely pull on to give you, you know, all of those positive, you know, variables. So, yeah. You know, again, I keep going on about it, but it's the biggest thing you can do, absolutely. So if anyone takes anything away from this, is just to know, please, this is the biggest thing that you can do to help you perform better within your life, 100%.
Yes, I 2,000,000% agree on this. When I work with my clients on high performance, that's why I also look at the holistic picture. We can talk about strategy, we can talk about their business, we can talk about managing their time better. But if they're feeding off McDonald's every day and they never exercise, then that's going to block their performance. They might still do a great job. Some people are incredible in spite of not exercising or not eating well, but it will block. And the second they start to tackle those aspects, it'll release even more, you know, higher levels of performance, satisfaction, fulfillment. So I love all of this. I'm wondering, for the listeners who, for example, don't exercise, because that does happen sometimes. Some people don't exercise.
Yeah.
How do you motivate people to get started? Let's say they've never exercised in their life, or they haven't exercised in years. What can get them started?
Okay. So if we, you know, we assume now that I've taken them through the first step of telling them how important this really is then moving into the second stage then and saying, look, you know, the bottom line here is that exercise, yes, can be difficult, and you know, we can be reluctant to be able to do that, and I understand that, and I have done for years. And I think this is where a lot of personal trainers kind of fall down, really, is understanding where the client is at in terms of their attitude towards exercise and willingness to want to do it. And so for me, it's about understanding the individual and saying, okay, well, listen, in order for you to be able to get into this now, to be able to get started, the most important thing that you can do is to do something that you actually enjoy doing. And that's your first starting point, because if I'm going to get you to go to the gym 5 times a week and you hate it, you absolutely hate it, it's not sustainable. And so therefore I'm going to give you the amount of time that you're seeing me for. The second that you've moved away from me, that's it, you're done. And that will be a short journey. And so for me, it's about saying, look, you know, let's get into a zone here that we can find where you are in an enjoyment zone where you like it, you know, because what that then gives us, it gives us good, positive emotional feedback. And the most important thing for people to kind of get their heads around is that we are emotional creatures, whether we like it or not. We are driven hugely by our emotions, to the point where our emotions could be that powerful that we will think of something, we'll say to ourselves, I shouldn't do that, but my emotions want to do it. And then we start to justify it in our own mind why actually eating that big pizza over there is a really good idea right now. And you'll just absolutely do it. I mean, listen, I've done it plenty of times. And this is the thing, is the emotions are incredibly powerful. And so we've got to say, okay, well, let's use the emotions then to our advantage. You know, let's look at things that we can do, that we can get into, that we really, really enjoy. And so for some people, it might be a case of a little bit of trial and error. And that's, you know, that's absolutely fine. But, you know, I would say to them, look, let's search for something. You know, if it's a case of, you know, it's a certain sport that you enjoy, then let's get going with that. You know, let's start going down that avenue. And then maybe, you know, once or twice a week, I need you to do these kind of exercises that I know is going to help them from a functional capacity, you know. So yeah, you know, that's what I would say to people to be able to do. But I think as well, an important thing for people to recognize when they first start off is knowing what to do. And I think that's where a lot of people as well can get stuck, is because they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And for me is, I think, because I remember when I very, very first started getting into the gym, teenage years, and I went in there and just thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it was quite intimidating. And so what I would say to people is what is high value for you to be able to do is get yourself a personal trainer. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a personal trainer, ex-trainer, coach. I'm not just saying that from that side of life. I'm saying it from a point of view now of, if you learn what you are doing from regards to a trainer perspective, then it then creates clarity, and that makes it easier to be able to do things. When you have clarity of, I know what I now need to do, it now becomes a lot easier to be able to do it. If you in a world of, I'm not really kind of sure what to do, then emotionally it's like, well, let's just forget that because we don't know what we're doing. So it's the clarity of knowing what to do really helps. And so getting a trainer for 8 to 10 weeks and just saying to them, not trying to accomplish any big goals, is say to them, listen, I just want to learn how to be able to exercise effectively, and that's it. Just learn how to exercise well. And that will be a very, very worthwhile investment then, because from that point onwards, then after say those 8 to 10 weeks, you can continue on then for the rest of your days, just doing those things that you know that you're able to do. And that then helps as well on the days whereby, if you're a runner, you enjoy running, and it's absolutely bouncing down outside, then the reality is that you're probably not going to go for that run. And so therefore you could say, right, well, I'll just do a little bit of a routine in the house, or do whatever, because you know what you need to be able to do. So I think that's a really important thing for people at the start to be able to consider, is to learn about exercise, and because you're going to keep that then for the rest of your life. So that's what I'd advise on that side. But I think, you know, the biggest one absolutely is getting that positive emotion from doing something that you love and you really enjoy, you know. So I think that there is it's where I start with a lot of people, is finding their thing, you know, what's the whole kind of buzz behind this. And then I think maybe the last point to add on to that is to find the meaning in it, you know, is why this is important to you, you know, what's the deal here. If you are doing it just because your coach told you to do it, or your trainer told you to do it, it's not much of a motivation. Even sometimes if you're kind of aware of the benefits, I think what you've then got to really kind of bring into your world and embody is the real good reasons behind what I'm doing. And so let's just use other people as an example. So you might say to yourself, you know what, if you've got a couple of kids, for example, is I want to be a great inspiration for my kids, because I want my kids to have a fit and healthy lifestyle as well. And so therefore, if I'm fit and healthy, then they will follow suit. And I want them to have that. So, you know, I have to then lead the way here. I have to do this because of them. It could be that, you know, is that I want to be able to inspire people in my community, or, you know, help other people as well at the same time by leading the way myself and having a go, but then showing others as well. It may be that you're drawing it in from a point of view of, I know that if I am fit and healthy, this is going to help me perform to my best of my ability, and I'll get even more outcome and more results from my world, because that's what I'm trying to really do. That's the thing that gets me. So you're attaching all of these big positive angles here that will really help you move forward on those days when you think to yourself, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. And so that there, I think, is a big key, is that once you've attached that meaning to it, it becomes really powerful. I mean, you know, I'm down the so end of the degree now is that wild horses couldn't drag me away from exercise. You just couldn't do it. It just, so, you know, and some people might say, oh God, it's obsessive or whatever, you know, but it's from what I get back from exercise, you know, there's just absolutely no way that I could give it up. And obviously I see the outcome of what it does for me personally, on a mental, emotional, and physical level, but also at the same time is what it does for my life, you know. So it's an absolute no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
I love this, and I want to summarize all the different points you touched on, because you mentioned quite a few interesting points. First of all, for people who don't exercise or want to get started, then doing something they enjoy is absolutely essential. And I love how you tie that back to the emotion. And if we're emotionally engaged, then we're a lot more likely to start and then to follow through. That's absolutely key. And then tuning into the why behind it, and possibly relating lots of different reasons. So if all the reasons Lewis has given you so far aren't sufficient, then find your own reason. Why is it important for you to show up? What energy will it give you? How will it affect your performance at work? How will it change your relationships? How will it affect your mood? I mean, just look at all the positive benefits that can come from exercise. Love this. And like you said, having a personal trainer. I remember when I started off with the personal trainer, it just changes everything. Some, you know, exercises you weren't sure how to do, maybe doing squats properly, and then it also pushes you a bit. So when you think you're done after 10, it makes you do 12, 13, and that's great, because that's how you progress, and it's motivational, and it's also accountability. So I think in all realms of life and work, it's important to have some sort of feedback and someone supporting you and pushing you. So I love these 3 points: something you enjoy, personal trainer, and the big why or whys behind why you want to exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, it does do so much, and we haven't really touched on the side there of the aesthetics of the body, and you know what that then, I mean, that is a great benefit. But then at the same time is that, okay, this then feeds to, because from the points that you just said there, is when you're being pushed and you start to learn that actually I can do a little bit more, then that then starts to feed into then self-confidence, because you then start to then go, well, okay, yeah, there's more here. There's more that I can do. And actually, I didn't break down and die when I've done 5 more. And so we start to then build that self-confidence in the things that we are doing. And we start to realize that, yeah, you know what, when it's really, really hard, I can still keep going a little bit more. And then that then moves us from self-confidence into resilience, of that we start to really move into that space of becoming resilient now, and that kind of really then just kind of stretch across to all different realms in life, is that we start to then get that confidence, realize actually I can do a lot more than what I think. I can do more when I think that I can't. And that is an absolutely valuable trait to have for any performer within life, in terms of what they want to accomplish, because ultimately, high performance means that you're going against tough times. You're going to find things difficult. You're going to be a high performer. You're going to have to overcome difficult things all of the time. And so you've got to be good at that. And you have to have a good level of resilience for that. And so, again, just going back to the exercise side of things, the more that you can move into that space, the more you build the self-confidence, the more you start strengthening the resilience muscles, and the more that you're going to get that right the way across your world. And so, yeah, it's a great point, as you mentioned there. And I think it just, again, it adds that more indirectly to what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. I think the 2 points you mentioned right now, the confidence and the resilience, so important. And it does give you confidence. Apart from anything else, physiologically, your body changes, which makes you more confident. We all know that having certain postures impacts our confidence. So it's the same when we exercise. And resilience, I remember hearing how one of the best way to be more resilient to stress is to put our body through physiological stress. And
Yes.
that can either be through exercise or through extreme temperatures, which is why I've got into cold showers for the last month, and I'm writing about them and preaching them all the time, and Wim Hof app. But yes, like extreme temperatures and exercising, it makes your body deal with the stress, which then means when you have mental stress, you're actually able to cope better because your body has learned how to. So I love this.
100%. It's that hormesis, it's the hormetic effect of the body. And the more that you move into that space and you go into that stress, then the hormetic effect of that is the body starts to adapt and realize, okay, yeah, we didn't like that. Didn't feel good at all. And the physiological response is, okay, the next time that happens, we'll be better prepared for this. And we start to then go into that state where we start to handle those experiences a lot better, psychologically and physiologically. And so we move into that. It's hedonistic, isn't it? So we move into that space whereby, as we're kind of hitting that line of this, I don't like this at all. Just don't like it. And as we kind of keep moving into that, is that line then changes from I don't like this to actually this is quite comfortable now. I'm okay with this. This is okay. I can manage this. And there it goes. Is that the way? That's the way that it always works. So yeah, absolutely. It's a powerful way to be able to get yourself onto another level. Absolutely.
I agree. What did you say was called the hormetic effect? I've never heard that word.
Yeah, hormesis. Yeah, so it's basically when the body goes into shock, it then starts to produce physiological adaptations whereby it can then start to handle things a lot better later on down the line. So exercise does exactly the same thing. Is that it's a shock on the body, and the body's like, well, it doesn't feel great, and so especially when you're first starting out. And so the body is going through all sorts of changes, but then it starts to adapt to it. It starts to become physiologically better, in essence, at handling then that type of stress and that type of load. And I think that really kind of, from like a metaphoric point of view, is that goes right the way across life, really. So all the things that we start to get into and get shocked by, but then move through the process and keep dealing with it and handling it, is that we get better at it and we become accustomed to be able to deal with it at tough times. And so I think for me, it's a big kind of It's a big tool for life, because ultimately we're going to hit tough times. We can't avoid it. You know, we're always going to have rough parts. We're always going to have dips and troughs, and sometimes we're going to be going through heavy emotional trauma through things that just happen. And so, you know, the stronger that we are and that we're able to do it because we are practicing these kind of things, do all sorts of different methods, then the better that you are to handle yourself when trouble comes your way.
Absolutely. I love this. And it makes me think that resilience is a muscle, and a muscle you can train through exercising. So that's really nice, isn't it?
100%. 100%. That's exactly how it works. Yeah, absolutely.
And what would you recommend to people who are, for example, already exercising, but just want to take it to the next level? They're doing it a few times a week, a bit, but they just feel they could like be exercising more, and there's a sort of another level of performance.
Cool. Okay. And so what I would say then is to start to search. Like, it kind of goes back a little bit to the emotional side here now as well. Is to start to search of, okay, what are the things now that I really deeply want to kind of get into and enjoy? So let's just say, for example, you know, you've been training let's just use the gym, you know, as an example, and you've been getting fitter and you're getting stronger and you're getting healthier, and you're like, you know, where do I go now? And there's obviously a multitude of levels that you can get to in the space, but you can then say, well, what could be good is if I am challenged in some way, and how can it be challenged in some way? It might be then that you go to a CrossFit center, or it might be that you look at a running league or whatever. And so now we then start to then put ourselves on the map a little bit, so to speak, of saying, okay, I can actually now match myself in terms of my level of ability. And I have now a way of knowing whether I'm going up that ladder or I'm not. And so I think that whole almost gamifying your challenge of exercise then really kind of helps you move things up to a next level. And it can also be as well incredibly inspiring when you know you've got people who are in the game that you are going into, who are just phenomenal. You know, and you see what they can do and you're like, whoa, you know, I'd love to be able to get to that. And so this now all just gives great positive emotional feedback of, yes, this is for me. I want to chase that. I want to kind of keep it going, because that's how gamifying works. You know, is that it's that challenge. It's that, you know, I've got to overcome this and this to be able to get further up that ladder. And that's the way that it works. So I think always looking at competition in some way, shape or form. And again, you know, sticking in the realms of what you're enjoying. So if you're enjoying the gym, is that okay? Is there a way that I can possibly compete in some way, shape or form here, and to kind of take things on and be in environments where people are better than you? You know, because ultimately, what tends to happen is we get good, and then we kind of then just stay at a particular kind of level, and we just like things get a bit flat. And so yeah, when you then move into a space where there's quite a few more people that are better than you, it's like, whoa, it's like, okay. And you know, some people, if their ego's too big, then they'll just come out the space and just go, oh no, I'm not going to bother with that. But if they are really wanting to really develop themselves and really go on to the next level, then being surrounded by people who are at a bit of a higher level than you is a great way to be able to motivate yourself. And so for me, you could look at it as saying it's almost like a negative feedback to push you up there and accelerate, because you're realizing that I'm not as good. And so that can feel as like a bit of a negative response, but it's a great driver to drive you forward. You know, not all positive emotions are good and not all negative emotions are bad. And so, yeah, you know, is to use that, is to say, okay, I've got some work to do here now. And then it makes the whole thing exciting. It's a project. It's like, right, okay, what work have I got to do in order to be able to kind of move forwards? You know, it's I've done it for years with people and with myself, and things like, you know, how can I get faster at running now? How do I improve my time by an extra minute? You know, how do we do it? You know, and when you start then reading a little bit and research, it becomes fun. It's so much fun. And just by, you know, obviously arming yourself and giving yourself that education and then trialing it and doing it and then seeing the outcome, is you're just like, whoa, it worked. You know, it's like the whole business plan that you've put together, and then you go through all the hard yards and then you get the outcome in the end. You're like, wow, God, I've done it in the end. You know, and that's the big thing for me. So I think one of the biggest things to say to people who are and maybe a little bit stuck, you know, they're kind of at that point at the level where they're doing okay and they want to move on, is to definitely find some way to be able to kind of compete and gamify what you are doing, because again, it's that emotional feedback that will really help you drive forward then to the next level. 100%.
Absolutely fascinating. All about the gamification and having fun. Basically, it comes down to have fun. Do something you like. Do something you can gamify, you can enjoy. Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's it. That, you know, that is one of the biggest things here is have fun with it. God, you know, it's fantastic. You know, when you watch kids, you know, really young age, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, just watch them on a field and they'll just be running around with each other and running around, playing tick, tag, whatever it is, but they're just running around and having a great time. And I remember I did it with my 2 kids once. I just sat in a park and I just sat there and there was nothing for them to do. There was no slides or anything. And I just sat there, so I just sit here for a minute, you know, and I just sat there and I watched them and they were there for 90 minutes. Wow. Running around, chasing each other, you know, pushing each other over as well at times, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, they were just loving it. They were just playing. And for me, that is a thing that we lose in adulthood, is that ability to play, that ability to, you know, do the things physically that give us such great feedback and great joy and great fun. And that's what sport is. That's what exercise is all about, is to get all of that fun from it, enjoy the whole process, and at the same time get all of those incredible rewards, and watch how you then start performing in life then. And yeah, so it's just a huge thing for me, is dialing into that side of life. 100%.
I think it's a great note to finish on. Enjoy the process, get the most out of it, reap all the rewards, and have fun. I think that's fantastic. We've touched on resilience and fun and many different topics. Lewis, where can people find you?
Probably the easiest place to find me is Instagram. My Instagram handle is @LewBailey. That's LEW and then BAILEY coach. So it's @LewBailey coach. You can also find me as well on Facebook. It's Lewis Bailey Mind Body Life. I'm also quite active on there. So yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch or needs any kind of support with anything, then I'm an open book, and I answer people as well. So just send people, you know, videos, clips, articles, anything like that they may need. So yeah, no problem there. And just to mention as well, my podcast coming up in the first week of October. So the Fit Body Powerful Life. So I'm looking forward to all of that side as well. So yeah, awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with me today, Lewis. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and all of these tips. Thank you so much.
No, an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.